Numerous woke media outlets are doing their best to convince gamers to purchase the ultra woke and, at the end of the day, Antifa simulator Dustborn. However, gamers are ultimately rejecting them. They want nothing to do with this game whatsoever. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And as I said, there are multiple woke media outlets trying to convince gamers to purchase Red Thread Games' radical left-wing political adventure game. Let's start off with Carly Veloci over at Games Radar. She explains the game's story, saying Dustborn is first and foremost a visual novel of sorts where you play as Pax, who teams up with a group of friends and strangers to deliver a valuable package across the Republic of America to a resistance movement in Canada while pretending to be a touring punk band called the Dustborn. All of this is to hopefully be free of the oppression and danger of a fascist, broken America. Like I said, this game is literally just trying to have you play as a member of Antifa, and they set it in their little sci-fi dystopian world. But it's clearly all done to try and make you sympathize with Antifa. That is what this game is. And Veloci has high praise for this. Combined with its oddly sustained length, the sheer amount of topics and issues it wants to address, and its growing cast of colorful LGBTQ plus characters, it almost lives up to its promise as an epic political road trip saga about people with superpowers. Now, you can say, well, she says it almost lives up to. Well, I think you can tell by all the other glowing words around this, she does have a lot of praise for this game. It just doesn't meet her expectations or doesn't live up to it all the way. It's like, it's an epic political road trip saga with Antifa that gets 90% of the way there instead of 100%. Like, she's still praising it for it being this political road trip saga where you are literally role-playing as members of Antifa. It wasn't just Games Radar. It wasn't just, what was her name again? Carly Veloci. Over at Forbes, Matt Gardner admitted this. Dustborn is among the most unrepentantly liberal and left-leaning games out there. Nevertheless, he also attempts to convince his readers to purchase the game by claiming you just need to have an open mind. If you want to play a game that is unrepentantly liberal and left-leaning, just have an open mind, and this is the game for you. He writes, if you have an open mind and you're willing to give it time to grow, Dustborn is a fun trip, even if it occasionally feels like it's trying to be a bit too edgy for its own good, especially for the type of people who will immediately click with its socio-political outlook. Of course, I know them. They're me. So obviously, admitting at least has the self-awareness to admit that he has his own political bias, and that political bias vibes with this game. But if you just have an open mind, if you're just want to be a member of Antifa and commit all kinds of violence and do crime, you can like this game too. If you actually believe that right is wrong and wrong is right, then this game is for you. Just have an open mind about it. What an absolutely ridiculous thing to claim. No, there's nothing about having an open mind that would make someone actually want to engage in liberal and left-leaning games or politics or anything that is liberal and left-leaning. That is the definition of closed-mindedness. You are literally closing your mind to the truth. That's where those ideologies lead you to. They lead you to closing your mind to the truth. They don't lead you to actually trying to achieve the truth or getting you closer to the truth. We've got this here from Diego Nicolas Arguella over at Polygon. He also makes it very clear that this game is a left-wing political screed. The road trip story begins with a group of 4 30-year-olds inside a minivan making their escape after a heist. The mission is to make it across an alternate reality version of the United States to eventually deliver their stolen package deliver their stolen package in Nova Scotia, Canada. Your biggest obstacle is avoiding surveillance from Justice, a fascist regime that's particularly interested in persecuting animals. I don't know. These are people who can speak certain words to invoke special powers after a mysterious event that took place decades ago. He then acknowledges this. As much as Dustborn leans into its science fiction setting, its story is told from a viewpoint that has clear parallels to reality. There are nods to jokes like "My husband and I saw you from across the bar," as well as mentions of woke mind virus speeches and how blatantly stupid they are. They're not. People do indeed have the woke mind virus. My guess is Diego Nicolas Arguella is most definitely infected with it. That is why he is trying to convince gamers to buy this game in the conclusion of his review, where he writes, "In a game informed by decisions, the most gratifying choices didn't involve a right answer. They were about getting a different perspective." That sounds really familiar. Sounds like you just need to have an open mind. You just need to have another perspective. You just need a different perspective. These people all have the same talking points. There is nothing actually diverse about them. They all believe the same thing. Many times they actually all look the same as well. They do all kinds of weird things to their bodies to make them all look the same. It's just kind of wild. Like I said, none of this stuff leads you to opening your mind. It leads you to closing it. It doesn't actually provide a different perspective. It's giving you the same perspective that leftists always give you, and that is to become a slave to them. Fortunately, none of these people are having any effect, despite them trying to praise this game, despite them trying to convince gamers that they should purchase this game so they too can be indoctrinated into left-wing ideology. It's just not working. We have this here from SteamDB. I wrote this just a few minutes ago, probably about half an hour ago. But 35 players, as when I wrote this, when I took the screenshot, were playing the game this morning here on the East Coast, and just 83 all-time peak when the game first launched. So no one is playing this game. No one is buying this game, despite all of the woke media trying to convince people to indeed purchase it and state that it is something that you would enjoy. No, it is absolutely not. Only 83 peak concurrent. This game is dead on arrival. What is interesting, though, in contrast to all of these woke outlets claiming that this game is great, we do have Kabrutus Rambo, and he put this game on his Sweet Baby Ink Detected Steam curator list, as well as his DEI Detected website. And this is how he describes the game. Dustborn is basically DEI the game. It has everything you could hope from a DEI game: forced diversity, virtue signaling, self-insertions, woke political agenda being forced down the player's throat, a bunch of alphabet people, and they-thems. He also added this. It also features the most soy-filled combat mechanic I've ever seen. You fight with the power of words. Yes, in the game, words can hurt. And the whole combat system revolves around this premise. They don't even try hiding it, do they? No, they don't. And given the fact that Kabrutus Rambo is just absolutely obliterating this game, he put it on Sweet Baby Ink Detected, he put it on DEI Detected, and we see that it doesn't have a lot of players. I think he clearly has more influence than all of these woke media outlets. We're looking at, what were they at? Polygon. We're looking at Forbes. We're looking at Games Radar. He has more influence than all of them when it comes to gamers purchasing. And he does. I mean, he says almost 500,000 people are following his Sweet Baby Ink Detected Steam curator list, myself included. And his influence is, I think, pretty powerful, because we have a list of games that have been identified as DEI infested by Kabrutus Rambo, as well as other gamers, and they're simply refusing to purchase them. That list includes, but it's not limited to, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, Forspoken, Tales of Kenzera Zao, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, and Alan Wake 2. All of these have been spectacular failures. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, Warner Brothers had to take a $200 million impairment charge, $200 million tax write-up. Forspoken, the studio behind that, no longer exists anymore. It was absorbed into Square Enix. Tales of Kenzera Zao, they were saying, oh, the game is selling well. Month later, they're laying off employees because it was not selling well. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, they were laying off employees like a month, 2 months before the game even released, because they knew it was going to do terribly, and it did. Alan Wake 2, Remedy is constantly reporting how the game has failed to actually bring in any money for the company. Their last report, they've indicated they have made $0 from this game, and it has failed to cover its cost. In fact, they've gone so far, they stopped reporting how many copies of the game that they've sold. The last time they reported that was back in, I think, February, is when they last reported how many units of the game they sold. And it was at 1.3 million. My guess is probably only around 1.5 million. Might not even be that. That's how bad that game is doing, because it hasn't broken even, because gamers are rejecting games with DEI, with the woke agenda. Dustborn is the latest example. Obviously, I think it's the biggest example, and it's very clear gamers are not interested in this game. Only 83 peak concurrent when it launched. This game is dead, despite woke media trying to convince people to purchase it. It's not working. Those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.